Hi, guys. I am so excited about today's episode because I'm going to be talking about something I've become super passionate about. In fact, it was already starting to brood inside of me before I even started this ministry. So it has to do with what's called Mattah. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what Mattah is, and also one that I have been working on all month. It took me a long time to make. It was very tedious work. I'm really proud of it though, and I'm excited to share it with you. And also, I'm going to explain why I decided to raffle it, and also an event that we are involved in that is actually kind of an ongoing thing that has been going on for months now. Yeah, I'm just going to explain all those different things for you today. Welcome back to Messiah's Worship Warriors of the World. Okay, so look at this. This is my newest Mattah creation, and I am calling it Fiercely Guarded. Now, the reason I'm calling it that is because I've actually been inspired to make these for what feels like forever. Actually, I think it's been at least 3 years, and I actually wanted to make them just prior to Passover as like a leading up to Passover kind of thing. And so every single year I would think about it after Passover, and I would think, oh, well, I'll get onto that when it's, maybe 3 to 6 months before Passover. And then, I'll get on to making, everything that needs to be made, like the posts and everything for that. But that never happens. Never. 3 years now in a row, I've had those thoughts. And this year I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it after Passover. So I wanted to explain to you, I'm going to have like photos and whatnot that I'll be sharing throughout this video of this thing so that you get a really good, clear picture of what it looks like. But I wanted to share with you all the different elements in it. So let's start with the bottom. This is the fire, right? And what I was really wanting to do was something that was a mishmash or blend of the fire by night and the cloud by day. Now, whenever I think about that, I think of both of those things in the form of a twister, right? So you've got the cloud, and I always think of that as a twister that's leading the children of Israel through the desert. And I also, at the same time, think of the fire in the same way as a tornado, fire nado. So I really wanted something that kind of portrayed that. So I just made a fire. I didn't make it in the form of a twister. However, I did make these swirlies. I don't know, that just kind of spoke to me. I've been thinking about this for 3 years, and so as I've looked for inspiration and whatnot, of what images I could use to get what's in my head onto a mattah or even flags. I've thought about putting these on flags. That was one of the things I came across, was the swirls. In fact, that was something I really looked into because these kinds of swirls are actually native as well. Like they have a lot of symbology behind them when it comes to native culture. I think also even in Hebrew, there is a meaning to it as well. Like every single culture seems to have its own meaning behind the swirls represented here. But for me, it really just means, the cloud by night, or excuse me, by day. This on the top was really important to me because I wanted to portray the blood of Messiah, right? The blood of the lamb that was on the doorposts, that the children of Israel put on their doorposts for the angel of death to pass over them. And so this made a lot of sense to me. I actually have another design that I've done. I've been very quiet about, and I'm going to continue to be quiet about it because the project that I'm working on is absolutely ginormous, and I need it to be a surprise anyway, so I can't really talk about it right now until it's all done. So I have another project that I've been working on that has something like this on it, and I had some extra ones, and I was like, man, I feel like I can like do all sorts of different kinds of designs for this. And so, yeah, we have the cloud, the cloud by day and the fire by night, and then the blood of the lamb. So I'm calling this fiercely guarded, because that is absolutely what Messiah did. Well, God, Yahweh, that's what Yahweh did. When the children of Israel were in Egypt and he was trying to get them out and save them and protect them, especially from a crazy Pharaoh. And so that leads me into Mattah and what they are. I do have a video somewhere where I've sort of talked about it. I think I got a little bit detailed in it. I don't want to get too detailed in this one, because otherwise this will take forever. But when I first started becoming inspired with making Mattah, I didn't even know. I'd never heard the word Mattah. I was doing a dance where I took a dance from a woman who choreographed something to, the name of the song is On Your Walls. I took it, basically that choreographed dance was just footwork and a little bit of hand work. It was so powerful to me, though. I almost instantly could see staffs, full-size staffs in them, as in like taller than a man. And so I did that. I went out and I bought a closet rod and I started choreographing something to it. So I had a version for the women, which was the original version. That was, I believe Mindy Seda is the one who choreographed the original version. So the women were going to dance to that, and the men were going to dance with the staffs. So all the footwork was the same. The staffs were just added in. And so you can take a watch and listen to it here. Okay, so now that you have an idea of what that dance looked like, as you can see with the staffs, I just knew I had to put designs on them. And I was becoming very, very inspired with all kinds of different ideas. Like the Lord was really just laying it on thick for me. All these great ideas for making staffs. In fact, I have one right here that I didn't actually get into making until years later. I mean, I think it was like somewhere between 3 and 5 years later. So I'll show that to you right now. So this is my husband's. This is one of the original. In fact, this is a prototype before I started making them for multiple people. This thing is huge and it's very heavy. And so I am never able to send these in the mail. So I can't sell them and then send them in the mail because it costs way too much. Unless somebody wants to actually pay the price, which is somewhere around $400 or $500 just to send it in the mail. And then it's an additional $300 to $500 depending on what is on the staff, how much detail work I have to put into it, etc., etc. So it's a lot of work, but man, it is totally worth it because they're beautiful. People absolutely love them, and they're a lot of fun to dance with. So that was the beginning of me being inspired for making Mattah. And in fact, the Lord was giving me the scripture regarding Moses when Korah and his crew decided that they were going to rebel. That's when the Lord said to him, I want you to gather the tribal leaders. There were 12 of them. And I want you to make staffs for each one of them. I want you to etch their names on them. And then the Lord told him that he was going to show through those staffs who was the one that he had chosen as high priest. And it turned out to be Aaron's. As we all know, his staff budded. Okay, so fast forward. When I finally got into making these, and this was one of my very first of all, I had absolutely the things that the Lord was inspiring me to do. I was like, how the heck am I supposed to do? I don't even know how to get that onto that. Like, how do I burn wood and whatnot? I had no idea how to do any of that. So he led and guided me to some really awesome, cool things, taught me how to use pyrography. I think that's how you say that word. And in that whole journey of me finally taking up the challenge and figuring this all out, I believe I mentioned to somebody something about it online. And that person was so excited. And she said, "Oh my gosh, you're a mattah maker." And I was like, "What's a mattah maker?" I've never heard of a mattah. And come to find out, mattah is actually the Hebrew word for what is found in that scripture I mentioned about Moses. And it means sacred staff, stick, or scepter. Okay, so now that I've said all of those things, eventually, like I've also made the sticks, of course. You all know about my chain breaker mattahs, right? And those are the ones that are meant to tap together. I eventually started becoming inspired to make scepters. At first, I thought that was really kind of odd because, I mean, what are you going to do with a scepter, right? And everybody is clear what a scepter is, right? This is what kings and queens used. As far as I know, they didn't like walk around with them all the time, but it was a symbol of authority. And so anyway, I started to get really inspired of these like items on the top of these sticks. You would only have one. You wouldn't bang them together. It was just there really for some sort of prophetic anointing or an intercession and, maybe deep worship, warfare or whatever. Not meant to hit on anything. The thing with the staffs is that we make them so that you can hit the bottom of them onto anything, right? Because we made sure that you wouldn't splinter the bottoms if you were hitting them on something. So that's a percussion instrument. The sticks are also a percussion instrument. This is not. So I just kind of thought that was odd. I was like, are you sure you want me to make these, Father? Because what are people going to do with them? Like, I couldn't foresee myself dancing with them. I couldn't foresee anybody dancing with them. So I was just kind of like, what do you want me to do with these? Like, okay, I guess I could try it. And actually, the first one that I tried, I made for a chief's wife. And the reason I ended up making that was because I created a staff for him specifically. The rod that I used was so long, it was just too much. So I cut it back. So I had about 2 feet worth of that staff left. And so while I was working on that, I was on a time constraint at the time. And I was like, I really got to hurry up and get this done so I can get this to him on time. That was when we went to, if you guys are following me on Facebook, this was a couple years ago. You would know what I'm talking about. We went to go visit the chief in Tennessee. I was actually really quiet about it. I asked people to pray for me, but I was like, I can't tell you until after the fact. And then so I finally was able to reveal to everybody who we went to go see. And so anyway, I had this extra part of the staff left and I was like, man, I would hate for that to go to waste. And that would be perfect to make for this kind of project for a sacred scepter. It comes off of his staff. So if I were to make it for her, that has all kinds of really cool meaning to it because they are one flesh. And so I was like, gosh, but what the heck do I put on there? So I started praying and I asked the Lord, can I make anything for her? And what sort of images would you want me to put on there? And I kept coming to the hummingbird, and I didn't know why. I knew that she liked birds, but why the hummingbird particularly? I mean, I know everybody loves hummingbirds, but I was still just kind of nervous about that. I also knew that she's a healer. So I was going to put, healing plants on there that, well, they kind of speak to me, and I was hoping they would speak to her. I was really like kind of pulling things out of the air and guessing, but also trying to be led by the Spirit very heavily because I didn't know them that well. I wasn't like that way with them, and I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to ask her if I was going to bring it because like I said, I was under a time constraint, so I was kind of afraid to reveal to her, I'm going to make this thing for you and I'll have it there if in case I failed. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough time. Well, it turns out I didn't have enough time, so I didn't say anything to her. We brought the staff to the chief, and then I find out her favorite bird is the hummingbird, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to finish this project now. Like, there is no way I can't not do this. So I did. I made her the sacred scepter, and I just sent it to her through the mail, and she loved it. And her and the chief told me several times, like, not only did they thank me for it profusely, I was like really surprised. I mean, I was like, wow, yeah, like, you're welcome, but I wasn't expecting that much of a thank you. And I was really blessed by that. But they also told me that the chief said when she picks that thing up and she intercedes and she prophesies with it, things really move. I've never seen them move like that. I mean, I was just absolutely blown away. I was like, what? Well, okay, I mean, that's not really me. That's the Lord, but I guess I'll take credit for that. There's God's part, but there's also our part. And I don't want to be like falsely humbling myself, and acting like it's nothing. Because I did put a lot of work into that. So anyway, that is my story and testimony behind making sacred scepters. I'm still just blown away to this day with that testimony. It's very near and dear to my heart. So I am very privileged to be making these. And so yeah, this is one of just a few that I've made so far. There are a couple others. There's actually two others that I've made. They don't look like this. They don't have stuff like this at the top. They look slightly different. And I will actually be getting into making those again. I'm really excited about it. I used to sell them. You guys might remember them, actually. One is called Sacred Fire, and the other is called The Breath of Yah. And they were selling pretty well. It's just I didn't have as much time back then to make them because I was making them all by hand, and so it's a lot of work to make, and it just takes a long time. It just wasn't really worth the time, effort, and the money at the time, because I think I was probably making maybe $1 to $2 an hour. That's how much work I was putting into each one of them. Anyway, as you can see, I braided these this time. Not really for any kind of significance. I just thought that would look really interesting. And I did it's a 4-strand braid. I do feel like that number is kind of significant. And then, of course, I mean, obviously, the blood of Messiah, the blood of the Lamb, and I just really love the way it all turned out. I think it looks amazing. I do believe that eventually I will have an actual scepter that I will be making on a regular basis. That is this, but I'm going to do it differently. And I haven't quite figured out just yet how exactly I'm going to do that, so it could take a while. Could be years until you see that come to life. But this particular one, I'm going to raffle off. And here's why. For those of you who have been paying attention, there is something that I went to in California called Moccasins Across America. Now, the actual event that I went to was only done in California, but the Moccasins Across America, that is something that is happening all across the United States. And so when I went to California, I went to San Diego, to the San Pasqual Indian Reservation, where they were beginning the launch of this. It is a walk. Moccasins Across America is a walk. The idea is to reverse the Trail of Tears. So the Trail of Tears went from the east to the west. This time it's going from the west to the east. So, and they're also doing it voluntarily, right? Because we all know that the Trail of Tears was not voluntary. It was forced. All of the natives were forced out of their land and into places that they didn't know, into landscapes that they didn't know. The biggest concentration of them were forced here into Oklahoma. So there's 39 tribes here, whereas before, I think there was only like 2 before the Trail of Tears. So I can't even imagine that many tribes being forced into one area all at once and losing everything. They're also doing this walk with joy. So from California is where they started it. They've been walking all of this time since then. So it started in May. They've been walking all this time since then. They are going to come through Oklahoma. And this is the coolest thing to me because I live in Oklahoma. And they were all saying that Oklahoma really took this and ran with it. There are like 5 spots, maybe even more than that, that there are visiting while here in Oklahoma. They're going to be stopping at while here in Oklahoma. So there are different places throughout their journey that have ministries that have agreed to host them. So they're going to be fed, they're going to be put up in like cabins or hotel rooms or whatever. Some ministries, is the way I understand it, won't actually be able to make all of those payments. Some of them might actually be able to only just pay for their food. And so then they'll have to figure out how to stay to pay for themselves in hotels and whatnot. But I think for the most part, it sounds like most places will have, most ministries will have a place for them to lay their head. And so, yeah, they're coming here, and there is a ministry that we are partnering with that we are going to be helping. And I'm just so thrilled to be part of this. They are going to end in Washington, D.C. I'm still not entirely sure what the whole agenda is going to be up there. And I don't really, there's some things that I've heard, but I don't want to say them because I'm not really sure. And I don't think it's been solidified anyway, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But they are going to meet up in Washington, D.C. And I do believe that the Father wants me to be there. Well, that costs money. So this is why I'm going to raffle this wonderful creation, Fiercely Guarded. So if you would like to be a part of helping me get to Washington, D.C. to meet with the walkers on the end of their journey, I will most definitely keep everybody up to date as things happen. We are going to have an event here for the walkers, so I most definitely will keep you updated for that as well. And when I get to Washington, D.C., I'm going to be doing all the things, posting and updating everybody, so you can stay tuned for that. So I'm going to do $10 per slot per person. Of course, you can put in multiple payments on however many slots you want. You will be helping me out. So what Messiah's Worship Warriors of the World is just an LLC. It's not a 501c3, at least not yet. I hope to make that happen eventually when the Lord's ready for me to do that. But right now, we're not a 501c3, so I can't just accept donations. So I have to have like an actual physical product to be able to give away. And so we do that through sales, and a raffle is a type of a sale. I will also list my personal accounts, in case you want to just support me in getting there and you don't really want to be a part of the raffle. I'll have that available, all of that in the description box as well. So there you have it. I sure hope you guys like the Fiercely Guarded Sacred Scepter Mattah. Please do help us out so that I can get where I need to get to be there with our native brothers and sisters. So thanks for listening, you guys. I really appreciate it. And you'll see more on this Fiercely Guarded. I also have a video coming up soon of me worshiping with the rod. I think I might have done, I did do one once before. That was interesting. It actually showed me that I can actually dance with these things. It's actually not all that weird. It feels a little bit strange because it's just one instead of having 2 items in my hands. I've just got one. So it did feel a little bit odd, but it turned out to be great. Like I definitely got into the worship. At first I felt awkward about it, but I still got into the worship and it turned out to be wonderful. So yeah. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.